everybody. Thanks for joining us today on Middle Georgia Spotlight, and we're turning it on Charise Stephens, one of the newer, older employees at City Hall.
Thank you, Ron, for having me here today.
You came in with our new mayor.
Yes, Mayor Lester Miller.
What will you be doing?
So I am the new Director of Office of Small Business Affairs. So one of his strategic purposes is to have equity, why am I tongue-tied? Sorry about that. Inclusion, diversity, and procurement for small businesses for Macon-Bibb County. So my job is to reach out to small businesses, get them in compliance, and hopefully have more vendors of minority women on doing business with Macon-Bibb County.
What kind of things can you do for somebody interested in starting up a small business?
Well, we do technical assistance, so something as simple as making sure they have a business license, making sure they complete their vendor application so they can actually do business. Sometimes people just need a sounding board. Today was a day of people calling me, just having some ideas, needing some next steps, and we're just a listening ear. So that's part of my job. We want to bring economic development opportunities and really just uplift the entire Macon-Bibb community.
I drive around the area, not just in Macon, but everywhere else, and you'll see a business start up. They put a lot of effort into it. 6 months later, they're out of business.
Yeah, it's really tricky. You have to do your market studies. It's a lot of different things. And one of the companies that called me today, he had great ideas, but he had not did the pre-work, which is the getting your EIN, getting your business license. So I just try to guide them in the right direction. Of course, I have to be neutral, but because of my background, I take this job with compassion and empathy because I get it. You know, small businesses, they generally do not have employees. They're doing a lot. They're wearing a lot of different hats. So it's easy to let something fall through the cracks. So my job is just to bring resources. We're going to have some virtual training sessions soon. And hopefully with this new partnership that companies located in Macon-Bibb will be able to be on the state purchasing contract. So we're working on some really great things, and I'm excited that Mayor Lester Miller has really put a great focus on small businesses, and I'm looking forward to making some stuff happen.
Well, you and I and everybody out there are consumers, and we can usually tell if a business is going to make it or not a lot of times.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not into rattlesnake burgers.
That is a niche market.
Would you have a little advice for that person?
I tell people all the time is you really need to do market study. See who else is doing what you're doing in the community. If it's 7 DJs doing the exact same thing, you may want to customize what you're doing or add another service because you're going to be competing with 7 other DJs. And then I also try to get people to think realistically. Like, you can't start a business 1 month in January and think you're going to make $50,000 by March. You know, I try to have realistic expectations of, you know, what you can and cannot do.
You in some ways have been a small business person too, haven't you?
Yeah, because I love Macon. I grew up in Macon, and everything that I've done has been has a social entrepreneurship component to it. I have done a lot of consulting work. I work with the Business Education Partnership, which is and I love Dr. Curtis Jones and everything our school system is doing, but helping businesses and school connect and bring that connectivity for career development. Some of our schools never had a business sponsor before, which is critical because we all have limited funding. So I really enjoyed, and I did that for over about 3 years, but I really enjoyed doing that, connecting businesses to community partners.
What a wonderful thing for a business to do, adopt a school or part of a school.
Yes. And even though I'm not with BEP anymore, I want to encourage any company to adopt a school. Our kids need that. They need to know people care about them. And it can be something as simple as having like a teacher appreciation. I know we're doing virtual, but teacher appreciation donuts, so things like that. Just let people know you appreciate it, and that small investment goes a long way.
Now, you go back at City Hall to the turn of the century, don't you?
Yes. I actually was the director of Middle Georgia Clean Cities Coalition, and that was such a fun job. It's through the U.S. Department of Energy. They had maybe 50 clean cities in the nation, and I represented Macon Bibb, and I worked on environmental projects from electric vehicles, getting an E10 blend. Robins Air Force Base actually had a hydrogen forklift. I was on the team for that. So I was able to bring a lot of environmental projects here. And I think one of my last projects I did was, the Tesla charging station behind Visit Macon.
Yes.
I connected Mayor Rickard at the time and Alex Morrison, the Tesla people, and they got that for no charge for Macon-Bibb County.
And we're finding them with other places now.
Yes. So it was definitely a catalyst. So I was excited that that was one of my last projects that brought economic development for the community I love, and there was no charge for Macon.
In the 20 or so years since you started over at Clean Cities, have you seen much progress in your mind, or enough progress?
In the environmental world, or just in general?
In general, the environmental world. Yeah.
In general, yes. Business-wise, I see a lot more people, like take for instance women. Macon-Bibb County is a hotbed for women-owned businesses, and I've seen some growth in that way. I love people who are generally have not been decision makers that are coming to the forefront. I think one of your former guests from last week, Weston, I love him to death, having more younger people getting involved. So I'm excited to see what Macon-Bibb is doing now, not just for businesses, but overall. We're becoming cleaner. People are reaching out, and we're older, Ron. But I've seen Black people and white people working together more, people from different economic status. But I'm really, really excited about what Macon-Bibb is doing right now.
Environmental-wise, back when you were there at Clean Cities, you knew what the future could be. You had all these books and projections and everything. We're starting to see, I know out at Robins Air Force Base, one patch after, they got 800 acres
Yes.
of solar
Yes.
panels.
So let me tell you, and your audience probably know me in different capacities. One of the other things I did in my past was the director of Middle Georgia Clean Air Coalition, which was 7 counties, 13 cities. It was all the mayors and county commissioners. And they came together to do clean air strategies, because when you have Robins Air Force Base, you have to have, you remember BRAC when they were doing the base realignment closure? One of the categories is having clean air. So we work collectively to do projects to have cleaner air. And one of the projects they did once I left, which was kind of close, was these solar panels. So I'm excited to see them implementing those. They had cleaner driving vehicles. They did a lot of outreach. So they've done a lot of great work behind the scenes here in Middle Georgia.
And they're going up in an area where they took all the housing away because it was the approach to the flight line. They call it the crash zone in cases of accident. They don't want people there. Mm-hmm. But solar panels are fine for every bit of it.
Yes, yeah. And it's like an encroachment land. So one of the things for BRAC at the time is that we had to purchase land, but how can you utilize it in the most efficient way? And solar panels were wonderful. And then with that, Twiggs County now has a solar farm. It's all about economic development. Once you get a project in place, then it can be a catalyst for another project. So Middle Georgia Clean Air Coalition has done really, really great work, and they're led with the Middle Georgia Regional Commission, as well as Ray Clark and his group. So they've done a lot. We can do more, but we've done a lot.
You know, we think about Black History Month. We think of the pioneers, the individuals years ago and everything, but people like you are making Black history here in Bibb County
Oh, thank you.
and Middle Georgia.
Well, thank you. I'm pretty excited that I'm actually the first Black woman to hold this position with the Office of Small Business Affairs, and we're actually written in the new charter for the consolidated government. So I'm tasked to get results. So I'm excited to be the first woman in this position and to make a difference. But we definitely do have a lot of Black people now making history. I can list them all, but I won't list them all, but they're really making a difference. And it goes back to what I was saying. I'm excited about making Bibb County because people are getting out of their comfort zone. They're having confidence in their own ability, and they're doing what they can for the place they love. So,
Mayor Miller, it seems, hit the ground running.
oh my gosh.
Have you had many meetings with him?
Yeah, so.
What's he really like?
Listen, he is one of the most thoughtful servant leaders I know. And I'm not saying that to butter him up. I'm not buttering up, but this is who he is. He was working before he was inaugurated. And I was part of his mayor's transitional team. He picked a diverse group, and we all kind of streamlined of what could we do to make Macon-Bibb better. And blight has been a huge, I mean, it touches everybody's life. Can you imagine living in a community that you think has been neglected and all you see is trash all over the place? You know, how can you have a positive outlook with all that? So he's definitely hit the ground running, and he's like that all the time.
Well, you mentioned the neighborhood since we brought it up. When I was looking for you were doing a cleanup the other day on the
Yes.
2000 block of 3rd Avenue. That's in Pleasant Hill.
Yes, so Pleasant Hill is an historic Black neighborhood, and it was where Little Richard grew up and a lot of prominent people. But when they had the development of I-75, people left. It went through a lot. But Pleasant Hill has, and I grew up actually in Pleasant Hill, has some of the most wonderful people, but it has been neglected for a long time. And for the building we're in now is the Ukraine Making Makerspace. We do a lot of youth development. It's totally non-profit, volunteer-based. But we know that our kids need as much help as possible, so we have a free food pantry so kids can come and get food at any time. We have free little libraries that can come and read books. And when you saw us, we were working on our community garden because it's a food desert over there. So we're going to try and incorporate things that are fresh fruits and veggies. So we'll have some blueberry trees, we'll have things for teas. So we'll have things that we can enrich that community. So I'm excited. I got my hands dirty. That was
What kind of what type of young people do you have over there?
We're right by L.H. Williams, and we're right by St. Peter Claver, and it's a lot of kids in that neighborhood. So we serve elementary to high school. We have kids as young as 7 to, I think our oldest kid is 16 now. He'll be 17 in a couple months. But we do everything with them from, we had the Playground Kids Film Festival with them, and Mr. Joe Fickenstein helped us with that. They do biking, and we're actually known nationally for our biking. Our kids bike all over the United States, and we're actually going to Indianapolis, Indiana in 2022. Cross our fingers that we can still do that. But some of our kids can actually do 100 miles on a bike. 100 miles on a bike.
Oh my goodness.
They mountain bike and road cycle, and actually this Sunday there'll be mountain biking for Go Nuts Racing. So I take kids that may have never biked before, and we transform them into elite athletes. And that's why I consider them elite athletes.
The biking segment, is that a part of the overall program, or is it just something you brought into it?
It's part of our overall program. So our program is directed by our children. So, and it's kind of weird, our kids direct our program. But they wanted a bike team. We didn't have bikes, but we acquired bikes. And
How did you do that?
That's why I love living in Macon-Bibb, because I know a lot of people. And when you see a kid on a bike, you can't do anything but smile. So I've had people see us practice and literally be like, I'm going to get you guys a bike, because when we first started, we had some really bad bikes. And as we practiced and really showed people that we were serious about what we were doing, we started getting a lot more community support. So all of our kids have really nice bikes now for road cycling and mountain biking.
Adequate to
Yeah.
workable bikes.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, to do 100 miles.
Yes, yes.
And let me just tell you this real quick story, Ron. So we went to Dahlonega, Georgia, and this thing called Three Gaps. So it's a lot of mountains up there. And they have athletes throughout the United States come. Kids from Macon did the mountains. Our kids did them. Little brown and black children did the mountain. And we had so many people come up to us because they could not believe how trained they were. And these are kids, like our youngest kid, when he started was 8, he can ride a bike and he can do 62 miles on a bike. And our kids are athletes.
The chance to travel, some of these kids would have never gotten even out of Bibb County. If you can, it's hard to understand it in this day and age, but there are a lot of children here that never get away from Macon.
Yeah, and actually, I'm glad you brought that up. A lot of our children had never been out of Macon, and now I see their confidence when they tell people about the many places we go. We've traveled to about 42 cities in Georgia, and then for Black History Month, before COVID hit, we went from Selma to Montgomery on a bike, the same route that Dr. Martin Luther King took. So our kids now can tell stories about their adventures, and they love it. So this Sunday we'll be going to Dowsett Trails in Jackson, Georgia, and I think that's why we have such wonderful participation. Like, these kids love what we do, and it's kind of hard for me to tell you how they have enriched my life, but they love what we're doing, and someone is believing in them. So
I grew up on a bicycle. We all used
Ron,
to.
come ride with us.
We all.
Just kidding.
That's been a long time ago. I don't take both feet off the ground at the same time. That's my rule these days. But a bicycle was a wonderful thing for kids, and so many of them are not getting that these days. Even ones who can afford it and have families that support them like that. And it's just such a wonderful.
It's so much freedom, and these kids learn self-confidence, because can you imagine going 50 miles? You got to have self-confidence yourself. You got to be able to gauge, when you're tired, and they become independent. And we have a bike shop, so the kids are learning bike repairs. But the way that I'm looking at it is that all kids are not going to go to college. We're giving them work-ready skills so they can maybe become a mechanic or work with their hands or own a bike shop, but we're teaching them work-ready skills.
We better be thankful that not all kids go to college either, because we need these other folks.
Yeah, and they're learning a lot. We were part of a Trips for Kids national program, and they earned a bike. So they did this STEM program, they earned a bike, and when I say other kids were listening in throughout the nation, our kids were literally answering all the questions because they have had so much hands-on, they knew the answers.
Now, what got you around the youth more than anything else these days?
Well, my kids are adults now. My son is 27 and my daughter's 23. I'm telling my age, it's okay. But I think what happened was a youth had got shot in West Macon. And I'm not trying to get all spiritual with you, Ron, but a youth had got shot in West Macon. This building was vacant, and I said, wow, maybe we can do something with it. I saw it on Monday. By Wednesday, did a proposal. By Friday, I had a key. And then we have been running ever since. I don't believe we have bad kids. I believe that kids are in bad situations. And I'm sorry. And I don't want to see another child getting shot or because as adults, we have responsibility. Even though these are not my children, we have responsibility to give them safe spaces to be at. And since we've started, one of my kids did tell me that another child had got shot and killed, said, "Miss Stephens, you saved my life." And of course, I did not cry in front of him, but I cried like a baby when I got home, because all the volunteers, we have about 20 coaches, and they dedicate their time to these kids. So
You're finding other people with the same depth of understanding
yeah,
as you
I'm
have.
sorry. I'm passionate about this because our youth are hurting, you know. Like I was telling about our little food pantry. Some kids are not having food, and we cannot have that. So we're trying to do the most cool way, a little pantry. So if you don't have food, you come, open it up. Ain't nobody judging you, whatever. But we just really need to reach out to our youth a little bit more.
Where do you get your food for the pantry?
So we partner with the Middle Georgia Food Bank, and then we have volunteers. Like I said, this community, Ukraine Macon would not be in this space without people seeing what we're doing. Sharing Construction was there Saturday helping us level out our community garden, and they came back and filled our pantry up. And when I came back by, I saw kids with the snacks, like different snacks. I was like, oh my God, they have fed the whole neighborhood. It was fantastic. So, yeah. So to be honest, Ron, yes, my job is the Director of Office of Small Business Affairs, but my volunteer work feeds my soul.
And it's going to stay there.
Yeah, it feeds my soul, and I'm so appreciative, and it makes me humble. And I know as we get older, sometimes I'm reevaluating my life. I'm reevaluating, like, what's my purpose? What am I helping? What is my impact? And this program is allowing me to have a positive impact. So.
Now, these youngsters will also learn how to plant a garden.
Yes, yes.
And care for a garden.
Yes.
Weed a garden.
Yeah. Yes, it's gonna be some work, but because they are biking so much, they're eating better. That's another thing. So what we're doing now is taking to the next level. Yes, you're eating zucchini, but this is how zucchini grows. So they're getting the whole scope of how food works, which is really, really good.
These young people in high school, junior high or middle school, whatever they call it these days, get involved with these athletic programs. And it really is the best thing that can happen to some of these kids. And that's, you have athletes now on your bicycles.
Listen, we have athletes. One of our kids had never mountain biked before, and I'm going to brag on him. He had never mountain biked before. We're part of a statewide bike racing team, and he was number 34 out of 150 kids. This kid from Macon who never mountain biked, because of our coaches like Coach Janet, Fred, Monty, he's one of the best kids in the state. So I just, as people listen to this, I don't want them to think I'm bragging, but I want them to know that it's no throwaway kids. Every kid has potential. Every child needs someone to look out for them. And it doesn't have to be Ukraine Macon, it can be your church or whatever. But we just need to really handhold and help these kids. So this kid that literally somebody would have drove by is one of the best mountain bikers in the state.
Along with food and bicycles, what else do you need over there?
Volunteers. We do a lot of different things. So today we're actually having our Good Deeds store open, and kids will come in with they'll write their good deeds down, and they can purchase things. So we'll have like little trinkets and books and snacks, but we're trying to reinforce good behavior. So that starts today. So we just really want people to volunteer their time. If you don't ride bikes, if you can't do 100 miles, that's good. Venture, once COVID we got it under control, we'll go back to having our kids film festival. I'll need some assistance with that. So we have a wide array of programs that no matter what your skill level is, you can come and help us. And it's all volunteer based. So
You said purchase. What a blessing to be able to purchase something. again, some kids can't purchase anything.
Yes.
And that could lead to some criminal acts along the way.
Yeah.
And just being able to have some change in their pockets so they can.
Yeah, I totally agree. And then sometimes I tell people all the time, if you haven't ate all day and it's some food there, will you make a good, you're like, oh, I'm not going to take that food, or will you take that food? Sometimes we have to put things in place for people to make good decisions, because you're in survival mode. You're going to try to survive. So that's what we try to do, is put things in place that kids may want a snack. They don't have to do anything bad. They can just get it and keep it going, or if they want to participate in something. And with our program, we do everything. We have a tennis shoe closet. We have clothes. We set them up for success. So it works out really well.
Where did you first get your spirit of community development from? How far back does that go?
My grandmother. She's not here with us now, Charise Stephens, but she was the kind of person that took care of everybody's kids, was the heart and soul of our family, of our community. And her spirit has inspired me. I don't want to just be someone, I don't want to be a taker. I want to give back, and I want to make my life better and people around me better. So this is just who I am. Sometimes I'm too giving, but it feeds my soul, and I have never been as happy as I've been, Ron, and I am right now with my life. Not because I just got this new job, but I just feel so fulfilled. So
I'm happy that Mayor Miller saw this in you and provided you another platform to
Yes.
help the public.
yes, I appreciate him as well.
Well, Charise, stay healthy and keep helping folks. And we'll see you the next time you come around here, okay?
Thank you, Ron. You got me crying, but it's so good.
You're the first one on this program I got crying. But I think it's pretty easy dealing with you.
Thank you, sir.
Folks, thank you very much for joining us on Middle Georgia Spotlight. I'm Ron Wildman here at WMUB TV.